Hello and welcome to another episode of Thursday Space. Today it's gonna be questions and answers on my story with the law.
It's always the question, how did you study Sharia and why the UAE University in Al-Ain?
Well, in fact, the UAE University in Al Ain was the only university in the UAE in my time. And it had a college for girls. And it was known to be one of the top schools in the UAE, of course. So I felt overwhelmed, especially that we had to stay in a dormitory in the campus for 5 days away from our home in Dubai, from my family. But I have to say, I love the university and I love the law. The Faculty of Sharia and Law in the UAE University had the only faculty of Sharia and Law combined in one school. And until, of course, it was separated later by the UAE University and set as one college for law and one college for Sharia. I was an A student throughout school, and I was one of the UAE 10 top students when I graduated high school. It was called Thanawiyya Amma, and I was one of the top 10 in the UAE. But at university, I had to work very, very hard. The subject of law was exciting, but it was quite intense and a very big load.
Why the law? You say you grew up with law. Tell us how.
Yes, in fact, I did grow up with the law. My father was a lawyer, and at home, the discussions, the morning, the evening, the lunch talk was always between my mother and father. It was all about the law. And honestly, I could remember throughout my childhood every court in Dubai and how they changed locations. Because my father always wanted to live right by the court to be able to walk to the court when the weather allowed. So I not only grew up with the law, I literally lived right next to a court from the day the first court in Dubai was a knife area until the court moved to Oud Metha.
How did your career start? You say the law gave you wings.
It did give me wings. My roller coastery life was just about to begin when I was offered a job in Dubai TV, a part-time job, of course, which I immediately took, while still having to have work placements in law firm, here and there, law firms here and there, because my father insisted that I continued to do the law while I chose to do something that was my life dream. Now, what happened is that 2 years later, I ended up getting married and with no prospects of any job, career, and my father passed away. So at that point, I thought there was nothing left. And I had my children, and with 2 children, with my second child, I started working, and I found that my degree in law was literally my wings.
How did you start your career in law? Was it really your middle son's words that got you to look for your first job?
Yeah, that's a story. I actually shared a couple of published works. It was not until I was literally 30 with 2 little children that I got a job in Dubai Chamber. It was indeed my second child. When I dropped him to nursery that day, on his very first day, he looked at me and asking myself, what do I do now? And he said, Mom, go to work. And that was exactly what I did. I applied to the Chamber of Commerce, and it was called then. I joined the in-house lawyers team, and the work that I got to start with was alternative dispute resolution, which was mediation and arbitration. And it was an area of law that I have never thought I will actually be able to explore and have any practice in. And it was wonderful to be able to do that. The new trends of the law I learned, I experienced, I experimented with at the Chamber of Commerce those days were just the emerging ones. So it was ethics, corporate governance, arbitration, IPOs, compliance, data protection, and much, much more. Then I joined the DIFC as an in-house with the legal team that was mainly mandated with setting up the courts and the arbitration center. This was actually one of the thresholds in my career that I still have amazing memories with.
How did you become a practicing lawyer with right of audience and as a managing partner of your own law firm?
I was in my late 30s when I considered private practice. There were not many women in private practice, and I thought, why not? It was not easy, but I qualified and I set up my own legal practice in considerably short time. There were almost 3 to 4 of us at the early stages of the firm. There were literally the receptionist, the PA, the legal assistant, and myself. I began writing my legal affairs column, that was what's called, for the National, and started speaking at international law conventions and conferences worldwide through the IBA at the early stages too. It has been so far 17 years since I set up my own practice. And my office did grow. It actually grew in people and in practice areas. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for the journey, the ups and downs, and mostly to the adrenaline rush that I have every day and I feel every day when I get to my office and I switch on my computer.
Tell us what the highlights of your practice were, the do's and don'ts, and what would you have done better?
We'll leave this to the next episode of Thursday Space. But for now, thank you very much for being with us at this episode of Thursday Space. I look forward to seeing you next time.